Hello, my friend. We are taking the next few weeks off from recording new shows, but we still have a ton of great content planned for you this summer here at Mission Forward. Every other Thursday through September 1st, tune in for a reboot of one of my favorite Mission Forward episodes to date. And on the off weeks, like today, swing by for a shorter reflection on communications and life with my weekly Finding the Words essay, one of which I'll bring you right now. This one being the 15th entry in my series called The Space Between. If you like what you hear, leave us a rating and swing over to mission.partners anytime to subscribe to get these weekly posts delivered straight to your inbox. And now, The Space Between. Years ago, my dear friend and mentor Don Foley shared a story about Itzhak Stern that I've never let go. The great violinist who passed away in 2001 was often asked why the music sounded so different when Itzhak played it on his violin versus when the same song sheet was followed by others. Anyone can play the notes, he would tell students. Music is what goes on between the notes. As I've since learned, Stern wasn't alone in believing this concept. Composers and musicians throughout time, from Mozart to Claude Debussy and Miles Davis, have all shared similar sentiments, if not always with the same words. The music is not in the notes, but in the silence between, Mozart said. In music, silence is more important than sound, said Davis. I often consider this space between concept when I'm working on a piece of persuasive writing or collaborating with my colleagues on a design project. Just as many composers of music has found, it's not the complexity of the words or design that make a message come to life, but just the opposite. The strategic simplicity of a message can give deeper meaning to the words. Today's Finding the Words is literally about finding your words in between the prose. To help us get there, I'll share another story about a writer who lives this concept well. Andy Miller is the best editor I've ever known. A newspaper guy at heart, he served for 2 decades as Washington correspondent for the Kansas City Star before moving into public affairs, where my path luckily crossed his in early 2002 at Prism Public Affairs. Andy wrote the most incredible op-eds and speeches, and he'd do it in a matter of hours. I remember Andy stealing away to his office mid-morning, and by lunch he'd have a solid draft ready for client review. But it wasn't the speed that impressed me. It was the way he made the most of his words. Andy thought about the space between too, but from a different perspective. As he'd say, it's far easier to write a long-form essay than a 600-word op-ed, because when we have space, we'll always find ways to fill it. But if you can deliver a short-form, get-to-the-point message without any filler copy, you've made your words work for you. And isn't that the truth? Whether composing music or messages, or the structure of our days, the space and how we choose to use it matters. Rather than finding ways to fill it, consider what might happen if you pulled back to only the essentials. Let most of your message fall to the editing room floor, and you'll see that what remains is not so different from what Stern and many others loved about the space between the notes. It's here that you find the heart of what matters most. Thanks for listening to today's short-form version of the Mission Forward podcast. If you like what you heard and want to continue to feel inspired, please hop over to mission.partners and subscribe to get these weekly Finding the Words essays delivered right to your inbox. You can also drop us a rating or a review wherever you listen to podcasts and let us know you loved the show so that we can continue to create great content for you. See you soon.